November 26, 2022. Well, today I want to kind of get into a little bit of analysis of the outcome of the election. Um, I think we've kind of hit it before how things were coming in, and we've got most of the returns. I think we have really, right now, it looks like one outstanding House race, which is, of course, California 13, which the Republicans leading by several hundred votes. But of course, we don't know exactly how many ballots are left to count with the idiosyncrasies of California. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. On the Senate side, of course, we're sitting here at a 50-49 with the runoff in Georgia, which is very, very key. It's very important we win that Georgia runoff if at all possible, for the Senate race. But mainly here, I want to kind of get into analysis of the House races, which I think are considered a bit of a disappointment in some ways. One thing I think that led to the outcome of Senate and House is the fact that that we in previous elections had kind of performed fairly well. I mean, the Senate races, we have to remember, are the legacy of the Tea Party year of 2010, and then a lot of those people got reelected in the 2016 presidential year. And so the result is now they're up for re-election again in 2022. So the Republicans had a lot more to defend than the Democrats did. And where the Democrats had races, they were in very safe states where there wasn't much of a challenge to them. The exceptions might have been things like New Hampshire or maybe Nevada and Arizona, I think would be and I guess a little bit Georgia. Those are the ones where the Democrats might have had a bit of a problem. But as we saw what actually happened, they handily won Arizona, Nevada, and New Hampshire. And of course, the only one that was close was Georgia, and we're having the runoff. So, but to the House races, which is what I really primarily want to get into in this video, which essentially there's 435 House races, and so we'll then go to a chart here and take a look at how the situation played out. There was 93 races that were considered by the pundits, and particularly the Fox News staff, particularly were highly competitive. So let's take a look at the chart. So of the 435 House races, we have about 93 races that before the election that the pundits thought were relatively competitive or possible changeovers. And in fact, they were wrong about some and missed some where they did change and so forth. So, but at any rate, looking at this here, you'll see that in the you have 5 categories: that those that lean Democrat, those that lean, those were likely Democrat, those were toss-ups, those that leaned Republican, and those were likely Republican. So, so you would tend to think in a close race, and remember, as I said earlier, that the Republicans actually won the popular vote by about 3% nationwide. You'll see that you would hope that the toss-ups would go kind of 50-50, and that we would get some of the ones that were leaning or whatever. Well, no. If you can see that we didn't get any of the likely Democrats, we didn't get any that were leaning Democrats. And when we look at our side, they got actually one that was likely a Republican, and they got about 5 that were leaning Republican. And we go to toss-ups, that we only at this point only have 5 projected out of the 26. And there was one that's still competitive, which we're currently leading, but it's a slim lead, and it's in California, so we'll have to say that's California 13. But look how many of these the Democrats had. There was basically 20 of them. 20 of the toss-ups went Democrat. So it kind of shows you why the election turned out the way it did in the House. It kind of disappointing. It looks like a lot of these races were, maybe 4% races. Really, when you look at it, the outcome was really decided at the micro level in these specific races, which is kind of interesting. A lot of times they were affected by, I think, statewide races that had an impact. Not on the chart were two Democrat seats that weren't expected to change over that were flipped actually in Florida. And of course that would give us a little bit of advantage there for the Republicans. And there's a few other strays that have changed one way or the other. One was in Michigan. I think one of those went over, but I think also one went the other way. So you get that kind of thing. A lot of it was, I think, in Nevada. I think that the gerrymandering was done very well by the Democrats, and they managed to pull all but one of the 4 House seats out that way. But anyway, that kind of gives you kind of an idea of what really happened here. It seems like we need to get better at the micro level. It may well have been the choice of candidates or the campaign approach. I tend to think that it's focused too much on inflation alone, and of course, I think a lot was driven by other sorts of factors. Another factor I think we should also consider is that the Democrats were able to motivate their base more than we expected by a fear campaign they threw out with this whole threat to democracy, and Republicans are going to take away Social Security lie that they used very aggressively in the last couple of weeks of the campaign. And apparently, in a way that didn't show up in the polling, it seemed to sink in or else generate a turnout that was better than the typical turnout model would have been. So that's another explanation. But anyhow, that's kind of my assessment of the situation. I think in the future, we need to focus a little bit more on maybe kind of micro-targeting these races that are competitive, because we certainly we won in the macro world pretty much. Another aspect that you might know if you look at some of the detailed races is how low the votes were in some of the predominantly Democrat districts, which meant they were able to win the majority there with not that many votes, where Republicans sometimes would way overvote in districts where they were going to win. And I think that's another thing that's there. By the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like. You can subscribe, of course, and forward a link to anybody that might be interested. We always appreciate that. But anyway, so that's kind of my kind of rundown on the race. I don't know if we should be too appalled, because after all, I mean, we do have the majority in the House, and if we looks like we'll have at least 221 and probably 222, depending on the outcome of Colorado 13, which we're still watching the count on that. We do have a recount on Colorado 3, but we don't expect that to do anything bad, of course, unless the Democrats find a ballot box or something. So, and I will, of course, be posting this on Rumble as well as, of course, the YouTube. And of course, you can follow me on my social media accounts. I post quite frequently on Twitter about upcoming things. And I guess Twitter is becoming a much more friendly site now than it has been under Elon Musk, which is a good thing. And so we'll just wrap this up for now and close for now.